Today we have a gate to install. We're going to put hinges on the gate. Show you how to do that right now. That should do it. Not too bad. Hello everybody, thank y'all for tuning back into our channel today. Today our job is to put this gate up. We're going to show you how we do it, so stay tuned. So the first thing that I'm going to do is basically take the gate and I'm going to try to level it out to the best I can. Now, in order to do, the reason I'm doing that is so that I can kind of just see where the gate's going to set. And that way I know where to put my hinges at on the back side of this gate. Now, this particular gate does have this type of hinge that move up and down on the gate, so it helps you actually with your leveling. And so this hinge right here will actually slide up and down on the gate, and that is helpful for getting your gate to the right level that you want it at. Some of the gates that I've bought in the past have a bottom hinge that is affixed to the gate, and that hinge does not move. And so in that case, you want to make sure that you definitely get your hinge in the right spot on the bottom, and then that way, and then the top hinge a lot of times does move. With that said, that allows you to move that hinge up and down. You can be off a little bit up here on your top hinge and still be able to get your top hinge of your gate attached to the post. I'm going to show you how to do that, but the first thing we did is we leveled out the gate just to get that. And all I do is I use some 2x4s. I know it's kind of hard to see in the video, but we are on a slant here, and so this is a short gate. This one here we only use to moving back and forth between the pastures and the Polaris and maybe a vehicle. We don't really use this for taking equipment through. I have 16-foot gates for that. This is a 12-foot gate, so it's a fairly narrow gate. But this has got a pretty decent incline to it in this area, and that means that one side is going to be lower. One side of the gate is going to be lower than the other, but I'm going to try to get it as low to the ground on this side as I can. And sometimes you can bring that front of that gate down if you're off the ground too much, and you can just kind of go with the contour of the ground. I try not to do that. We try to make our gates as level as possible. That way they swing nice. They stay open while you're going through them. We do sometimes we'll throw a T-post in the ground or something like that so that we can hold that gate open with that T-post. We'll put a wire around it or something like that. But let's get started putting this in. Like I said before, what we're going to do is mark where we want this bottom hinge to go. The gate is fairly close. Remember, this hinge does move up and down the fence, the gate a little bit, and I just want a general area. I kind of like where it's at right there, so I'm just going to put that mark there. So there are two types of hinges a lot of times you'll get with these gates. One that looks like this. It has a screw-in style for like a wooden post, and you would drill a pilot hole and then you would screw this into that post. The other style is like this. This is a bolt through. It has two bolts or two nuts on here, and one nut goes on one side of the post and with a washer, and the other side goes on the other side of the post with a washer. And that allows you to tighten the post up, or to tighten the hinge up, or to move the hinge back and forth to be able to help level you. We're going to use both of these on a steel post today, and I'm going to show you how I do that. The first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to drill a hole in this post, and we want this hole to be fairly level. We don't want it off too much, so okay. All right, so we've drilled all the way through the post, and now we're going to step both of those holes up a little bit. Let me show you. I told y'all when we started that we were going to use this hinge, and we're going to use it on the bottom. And I need to step this up, so I use a step bit to do that. And basically, I find out which one of these steps will be a little bit larger than the size of this, and it's going to be a step up. If you don't have a step bit, they work really well for this type of thing. And so I'm just going to use a step bit to make this hole bigger. It's either that one or the next one. It's that one. Okay, I don't go all the way through. I went all the way through the post with the pilot bit, and I got all the way through. I'm going to step this up just a little bit because I don't really want this to slide all the way through. I'm just trying to get a point through it so I can get a weld on the backside. By the way, if you don't have a welder, this may not work. Okay, because I'm going to weld that in is all I'm going to do with it. I want the tip of this to go through the post, and actually I need to go more because I want it to go through further than that. There we go. There, that's much better. And as you can see, I just took that through the post where the tip of it is coming through as well. Now we're going to weld that in. That looks good. Once we get the front welded up, we'll weld the back of it so that it's in place back there. Okay, so we've got the bottom hinge in place on the post. It's welded in. What we're going to do is we're just going to take the gate and we're going to set that bottom hinge right on top of that hinge on the fence. As far as the top hinge goes, I'm going to go ahead and move it up and out of the way a little bit. See how these slide up and down. The point is I want to put a hole in this post with this hinge, and then I want to move this hinge up into that post, into that hinge. The reason I want to do that is that way they can't pull. You can't just pull the gate off of the post. Otherwise, if you flip them both around the same way, you can pick this gate up off of the post. We're going to drill a hole in this post. We know about where it's going to go. It's going to go about right in here. It doesn't have to be perfect. I know somebody will go, well, you didn't measure that. Well, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be close to where you want it. So let's get a hole drilled in there. You do want this one level, so do as best you can to make sure it's level. Okay, I'm simply going to take this step bit to the size that I need, which is about a 3/4 hole. So let's get that done. It should be pretty close. Throw the gate on the ground. That's required. Let's move over to the other side. Get that hole drilled as well. So we have the hole drilled through the post. Remember I told you we're going to use both types. We have the screw-in style on the bottom and this hinge right here, which can be adjusted. We're going to stick this one through what we just drilled out, and then we're going to put it on the post and tighten it up. We're not going to tighten it all the way yet because we may have to adjust the gate. So we're going to get it up there to where it at least doesn't move around. We're going to grab our gate. Remember, we've already tightened up the bottom. Here's where you go ahead and move that 2x4 out of your way. we're going to set that right there on top of that hinge. There we go. And then we're going to take this one and we're going to bring it up. Remember I told you may have to adjust this a little bit. There's why. You're going to bring that up, right up against that hinge. Once you have it there, you tighten it up. So the last thing we're going to do here is we're going to figure out what level is. Bring this gate up level. I can already tell you that we're going to have to suck it up quite a bit here. To make life easier, I just kind of lift the gate up and get it as close as I can, and I put the level on it to see where we're at. You go just a little bit more, but it's not much. So from there, I'm just going to tighten up the back of this hinge so that it actually pulls the hinge backwards, and that will bring the front of the gate, or the opening side of the gate, up a little bit. One last suggestion on putting these in. I would truly just go a little bit, maybe a little bit more past level. In other words, bring the front of the gate up just a hair bit more. Don't make it perfectly level. The only reason I say that is because it sags a little anyways. And so if you bring that hinge up a little bit past that point, it helps to alleviate some of that. Tighten everything up good and tight, especially on this bottom hinge is welded in. This one here you want super tight. All right, that takes care of that. Finally, the opening side of the gate. There are many ways of latching these gates. This one here just came with this cheesy chain right here, which is not long enough to even go around the gate. We're not going to actually go into any real detail today on this. I'm just saying that you can use this chain if you want to, if you have the room for it. Our gap here is a little bit wide, a little bit wider than I wanted to be. When you put your gates in, make sure they're exactly on the 12-foot mark. The ground out here, sometimes when you start to put posts in the ground, they move and you can't get the post perfect. But basically, I just use the chains. I'll cut a chain and go around this this post and put a latch on it so that we can access it from either side. But that's it. That's how you put a gate in. Thank everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate each and every one of you. Today's video is a little bit different. Today we just hung a gate, but these are things that we have to do on the farm. Maybe you've never thought about doing it this way. I don't know. But the hinge on the bottom was a normal hinge that you would screw into a wooden post. I drilled a hole to this steel post, put it in there, welded it in place. Then I use this style of hinge up here on top that bolts through the post and allows me to get that adjustment in the gate that I would not get with that wooden hinge that hinges on the bottom. That saved me a little bit of money. Okay, guys, these hinges are $14 or so a piece. That doesn't sound like a lot of money, but then you buy two of them and I'm up to almost 30 bucks. Look, in today's day and time, you try to save as much money as you can. And this is how I do it. So I hope you enjoyed our content. If you enjoy the things that we're doing, please hit that like and subscribe button. Until next time.